Andy, I listened to your post-match interview at Jenner Park on Sunday. I thought you came over very well indeed. Now that the dust has settled, you've had a couple of days or so to consider the verdict. What is the post-mortem on the 7-2 defeat against Berrytown United ladies?
I think if I give you the analogy of a boxing match, and you've just come out of the boxing match with a blooded nose and a knockout, the first thing you're thinking about is the knockout, isn't it? And then when you go back and you review actually the game plan and you look at the elements within the game and how you actually performed, I'm sure that there were moments within rounds and rounds themselves where you're thinking you're relatively pleased. And again, that's the same situation here. You know, having looked at the game again, there were moments that were really good. You can see the progression, you can see the improvement over the course of the games as we start to work our way into the league. But the overriding memory, of course, from the game is the fact that we conceded 3 goals in the last, 5 plus so minutes of the game. And I guess really in terms of chasing a game, that's inevitable if you're going to do that, and injuries and players coming off and whatever. So there are certain things within our control that we need to control a little bit better. And there are certain things at the moment that are out of our control that we need to try and grapple with and get them within our control. And I guess that's part of the coaching process and the manager's responsibility, isn't it, to identify those and to put those things right.
And as you make the transition from the game in South Wales to the one this coming weekend at home to Cardiff City Women, what's been your message to the girls?
I don't think the message has really changed too much. We know where we're going, we know where we've come from. The reality again is, and I keep saying it, and I'm sorry that if I keep saying the same things, we're a very young side. So some of the players are out of their comfort zone at the moment. The experiences of playing in stadiums, playing in front of crowds, travelling on buses, the intensity of the matches, the level of competition within those games is different to what they will have experienced in the past. They've come from younger sides, they've come from underage sides, and they haven't experienced these things yet. So they've got to sort of learn those aspects of the game and become competitive and become hardened to this league and the requirements of those games and how we play, etc. So the message hasn't really changed. All we can do is go step by step every week. I think one of the key messages that we have tried to instill, though, really is around that mindset, around that level of competition and understanding that it's an open age league, it's a seniors league, and it's not what you might have been used to playing with some of the younger players in the past where you might have been the best player. You're not going to be the best player in this league now. So that level of competition, that level of concentration is really, really important. So the messages haven't really changed. How do we transition from one to the next? Well, we knew that last week was going to be difficult for different reasons. This week is going to be difficult as well. Cardiff City are obviously riding on the crest of a wave, scoring goals, not conceding goals. They've got experienced players. They know this league. So it's a different challenge with sort of the same sort of parameters, if you like, in terms of what we need to do, which is to be competitive and to be ready.
And although the New Saints Women is at the wrong end of the table, nevertheless, the side has scored as many as 3 other teams and just one off Swansea City, who sit in second place. So would it be true to say that at this stage of the season, finding the net is not necessarily an issue?
I think if we do the analysis of goals per shot, actually the number of goals that we've scored in relation to the number of shots that we've actually had is very, very high. But similarly at the other end, it's not good enough, because we're conceding far too many of the attempts that are going in on our goal as well. So yes, at one end of the pitch, we would like it to be more, of course. We would like to create more opportunities and score more goals so that we're 1 up or 2 up as opposed to 1 down or 2 down. But at the other end, obviously we need to defend a little bit sharper and a little bit brighter. There are reasons around that, that we're aware of here, that other people won't be aware of, as to why that is happening at the moment. But it is what it is. They're the sorts of things that a coach and a manager has got to identify. How do we tighten up on those aspects of the game to make sure that the game isn't out of sight, and that we have got an opportunity to get something out of the game when we enter the last 10 minutes.
And you've made reference there to the goals that have been conceded, 9 in total. Just Port Talbot have conceded more, which is 10. Obviously, you're happy with the stats from the one end of the pitch, but how much of a concern is it at the other, having been just 2 games into the season?
Well, nobody wants to get beaten. Nobody wants to get beaten heavily. So the important perspective here is, how do we tighten up while not taking away too much of our attacking play and our forward intent to go and score goals? There has to be a balance, and at the moment, as a side, we've not quite got that balance right. And again, that comes down to the coaches and the coaching staff. What is it that we're actually doing to make sure that we're not overcommitting at one end and getting caught on counter-attacks, or similarly, you know, when we're defending in the middle of the pitch, we're not giving silly set pieces away that end up on attempts on our goal. So there is some work still to be done there. We're working on it. We've identified it. We know exactly what it is that we need to put right.
And match day 3, we're back here at Park Hall. Cardiff City women, the opponent. They've got off to a great start, as you've already made reference to there. They've won both their games. They've scored 8 goals, conceded none. We say that each one will be a tough game coming up, but in this case, that most certainly is true.
We can't take, you know, the league or a phase of the league in its entirety. We have to look at every single game. So we'll adjust accordingly this week against their high-level opponents. As you say, they're top of the league. They're riding that crest of a wave. 2 4-0 wins in the opening 2 fixtures. Ian Derbyshire's done an amazing job there in getting this team prepared and ready and up and running this season. Their forwards are firing on all cylinders at the moment, and as you say, we're conceding goals. So it's going to be really interesting to benchmark ourselves this weekend against some of the best, and our players have got to be up for that. You know, there's no two ways about that. But for everybody around the football club, whether it's the players, whether it's the spectators, everybody should be really sort of enthusiastic about this weekend, because it's not often that you welcome top of the league to your home stadium. So that's something really for us all to look forward to. But make no mistake, we're not here just to add the numbers and make up the numbers and, you know, provide a party atmosphere for them. We want to be competitive, and we want to show everybody what we're all about as well.
As you say, they are firing on all cylinders. The forwards, in particular, Phoebe Poole has scored 4 goals, half of the total so far. Would you identify her as a specific threat this coming weekend, or is it that just part of the big picture as you look at what Cardiff City will bring to the table?
Well, I don't think that you can not, you know, pay attention to those players that are in form, can you? That would be a foolish thing to do. But conversely, you can focus too much on one individual or 2 individuals and stop them playing, and then it creates opportunity for others. So again, there's a balancing act there. You know, be aware of who can do what on the pitch, but as a unit, as a team, we've got to provide that defensive solidity, and we've got to make life as difficult as we can, not just for Phoebe, but for all of the Cardiff players and for them as a team.
And do you have your starting lineup in mind, or are the places still up for grabs?
Well, there will be some changes this week. One, I think, will be enforced on us. We've made what we hope are some recruitments this week that are not quite over the line that may be able to start. And I think that the players' response in training last night was really, really positive. We've got another training session again before we get to the weekend. So I'm fairly open-minded at the moment. I think I've got the formation in my head. It's just about who's going to slot in where and how we're going to set up. You know, as I say, to be competitive and to give Cardiff a really good run for their money.